Hey guys, Tim here with the Long Haired Gardener, and today I am in my backyard and I thought it was time again for a garden update. I do my personal garden updates every 4 weeks, so it's hard to believe, but it is time for another one because it's almost September and sadly the season is coming to an end, but so much good stuff has been happening back here in my garden. Things are still growing and they really look good for, I think we're about a week away from September, so things are still looking really good. So today I thought I would just walk around with you and maybe go over some of the plants that I think were successful this year and maybe which plants kind of fell a little short. So let's go around and see what the garden looks like here in very late August. So let's get started over here by what I refer to as like the potted plants by the window for obvious reasons. We'll get started right over here. I want to get this section done before the intense sun starts to come out. So I have two upright elephant ears or alocasias, and they did really good this year. In the past, they've been kind of small, so I think it's because I put them in more sun that they are doing really well. So I'm very happy with those. I will show you the other one in just a minute. Actually, I'll just spin over. It's right over here, and it's quite large and it's kind of taking over, but I'm not mad about it. So moving over to this tall planter, which also has this canna, which is blooming. We're gonna do a little lean down just so you can see this Tropicana canna. It is beautiful and it has been blooming multiple times, so I'm very happy with that. I'm also very happy with this Plectranthus, which is cascading out over the sides. The only thing I would maybe I'm a little disappointed about in this planter is my choice of like leaf plants with there aren't enough variety of leaf sizes and shapes in here. That was very difficult to say. So when I put the salvia right next to the plant Plectranthus, it basically looks the same. So this huge salvia that's in the middle and this huge Plectranthus down here pretty much dominate the foliage. And then I also have a lantana over here, which, let's be honest, it pretty much looks like it's the same foliage. Even the penta is like slightly different, but they're all pretty much the same. So that is something I would do differently if I could go back in time. But all of the plants have played well together, so they haven't really choked each other out, so they have done well in that respect. I just wish there was a little bit more leaf variety, maybe leaf color. Moving on, so the basil down here is doing great. That is such an easy plant to grow and an easy plant to grow from seed. My asparagus fern is thriving. That's usually not an issue. So over here, I'm trying to find a spot to throw this leaf. So over here, this is definitely not great looking. So I have zinnias over here, and I was a little unhappy with, I guess, the colors I chose. They're a little bland. They've gotten way too tall. They're kind of flopping over, and now they have like a powdery mildew on the leaves. So I'm not going to say that this area here was super successful, although I was able to cut some flowers to bring inside, which was nice. So right here in front of the window, the black petunias are doing great. It's very unusual, at least in my experience, for petunias to look this good in very late August. So for whatever reason, they did great this year. And let me just rewind. I think the reason why they do look so good is that I have constantly come out here and just been pinching these back so that they remain full and don't get too leggy. I think that was the key this year. I have a gazania here in the middle, and maybe this was not the best plant to put next to the petunias because it's just pretty much looked like this all summer long. I think it's gotten too much water and it just has not bloomed at all. Moving on up here, so I have a verbena in here. I'm desperately trying to find a flower. They have kind of fizzled out. I had 2 plants in here. I think one is completely gone and they're just not blooming. It may be because the other plants in this pot are just too vigorous when it comes to the root system. So this purple hyacinth bean vine, which looks really good this year, I have tons of beans, so this is where you would get the seeds for next year. Let me just peel one of these brown ones off. So when you crack this open, can I do this one-handed? Alright, when you crack this pod open, you get these little beans. So this is what the seeds look like, and you just plant those and they grow next year. Incredibly easy to grow. So if you have a lot of space and somewhere that they can climb, they are an amazing plant. But I do think that their root system really takes up a lot of space, and so does the root system of this licorice plant. So the poor verbena just didn't have a chance. All right, moving over to the wall. So these planters, I'm very happy with them, the way that they're looking right now. The Dichondra Silver Falls is looking amazing. And so are the Lantana. I don't have a lot of variety up here on the wall, but I struggle with keeping this area watered. So I'm very happy with the way things are looking, because at least they look full and lush. Of course, there's a sweet potato vine here in the middle, but overall, very happy with the way the wall turned out. Alright, so right below the wall and the planters up on the wall, we have more potted plants, and of course this humongous, let me tilt the camera up, humongous red Abyssinian banana tree. This is the second year that I've had this plant. I did cut it down and overwinter it in my basement, so I'm gonna maybe try to do that again, although it is absolutely huge. Let me see if I can get a perspective shot here for you. Hopefully that helped a little bit, just to give you an idea. I am 6 feet tall, so you can see how much taller this plant was. But yeah, I couldn't be any happier with this banana tree. And thankfully, we've had a lot of storms, but thankfully none of the leaves have gotten any tears or damage, so it is quite beautiful. I would love to, I guess when I finally do cut this down, I will measure this leaf back here just to see how big it is, because it is gigantic. Alright, so moving on, there are 5 plants or planters or pots down here, and they are kind of lost in the jungle. So this is the other Alocasia or upright elephant ear. Look how beautiful these leaves are. This plant is gorgeous. It did get bigger than I was expecting. Like I said, I've had it previous years and it did not get this big. So it is in a spot that it really likes, but unfortunately all the plants down below have kind of been lost. So down here is a pineapple lily bulb, and unfortunately it did not bloom this year because it has just been overtaken by this elephant ear. There is a lantana down here, which is this other green plant that you're seeing, but unfortunately it is not even blooming. I think it's getting shaded too much by these huge leaves. Alright, and right next door, so this planter I'm not super happy with. It's just kind of like a big, tall, floppy mess with not a lot of color. So down here we have some calla lilies, which they do have beautiful foliage, but unfortunately they've kind of flopped all over the place. There is a canna in here, which is not doing great because it is just, there's just too much competition in here. I think I have too many vigorous plants in one pot. And then I have a cleome in here, which is the only source of flowering color. I should probably come down here and mention that I did have there is a licorice plant right here, which is hanging on, but I did have 2 Scaevola, I'm still not sure if I'm saying that plant right. I did have 2 of those in these pots, and they just completely were gobbled up by these huge plants. So there are some wins and some fails in here. Definitely any of the small plants around the bottom have been gobbled up, and I would probably not put so many vigorous tall plants up above. But while we are down here, so this poor foxtail asparagus fern has been taking forever to do anything, and now that it is nearing the end of the season, it is finally starting to show itself. Thankfully I did plant, I don't know if I mentioned or not, but I live in downtown Philadelphia, and for some reason I hear something that sounds like a chainsaw. I don't know how this is possible. Maybe it's just a really loud leaf blower, but there is some loud noise happening in the background. So thankfully I did put this wire vine around the foxtail fern, and it looks so good. And I did put in some Plectranthus in here just for some different leaf foliage and a little bit of different color. So I actually am happy with this planter. I think it looks nice. I do wish that the foxtail fern though was a little bit bigger. So moving over to the chicks and hens, or the sempervitum bowl. This started out so strong, and then we just got rain constantly, and unfortunately a lot of these have rotted away. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe come back in here and rework the soil. I read that these plants prefer bad soil, so Although I did use cactus soil, I think there's just too much of it in there, so I might come back in, put some more stones, mix some more stones into the soil, and maybe some sand. Just try to give it a little less soil that can hold on to water, because these guys, a lot of them did rot. I did skip over, there was a eucalyptus plant tucked back in here. Not really a whole lot to say about that. It's just doing its thing. So there is a mangave plant right here. I think it looks good. I really liked it next to the Sempervitum bowl. Really hasn't grown tremendously, but I'm still happy with it. All through this area, I'm not sure why they chose this area to come up, but I do have several Cleomes that have come back from seed from last year, so you can see them all throughout here. So that was a nice little surprise. All right, I'm gonna come around, spin around here just so you can see that I do have plants underneath this huge banana tree. So there are some coleus down there, which I think look great. There is a hosta or August lily. I'm trying to get through the leaves here. I don't know if you can see the white, it's getting ready to bloom soon. I do have coffee cup colocasia in here as well, and there are some salvia down here. So this section right here I think turned out pretty good. I did skip over, there's a sweet potato vine back in here too. So I think this area did turn out pretty good, and yeah, I'm happy with that. So moving over to these two planters, there are planters in here, you can't even see them. But overall, I think I'm happy with the way that these look this year. Again, keeping in mind that we're late August, so things are not going to be lasting too much longer. We might have maybe another good month to go. But overall, I'm pretty happy with these things, the coleus, the impatient, there's a Tarina down here, the Garden Meister fuchsia, which is the tall one with the flowers in the back there. That one always does good. I've planted that there before. And then the elephant ears, so the mojito. And then I have a black one over here. Let me step through. So this one is supposed to be a black elephant ear, but I think that one maybe is getting too much shade, because I did have it initially in a sunny spot and the leaves were dark. So I think next year that one needs to be in a sunnier spot. I do also have just some regular elephant ears tucked throughout the garden, and they are doing very well. Kind of unexpected. All right, right next door. So this area over here I think is having the best year ever. It really looks gorgeous. There is a 4-pot tiered planter back here, and you can't even see it, and I really like that. It is providing structure and giving height, but you can't even tell that it's back there, and that's what I like. I don't always want to see the things that are supporting the plants, so kind of takes away from the jungle illusion when you can see all of the pots and the structures that are holding them up. But anyway, so back here there are caladium, which I love. I am a huge fan of caladium. I think next year I need to get even more than I have this year, just to kind of tuck around the garden. We have a couple different hostas down here, which they're in pots and they pretty much always perform the same. So it's good to have them in here and know that they're gonna look good no matter what. I do have a house plant back here, which is huge. Who knows where I'm gonna put all of these plants, the house plant ones, when it's time to bring them in. So right down here is a begonia. Ooh, I'm forgetting the name of it. I will have to put it on the screen, but it is also doing huge. So I think this is a win over here. More caladium. So there's also a striped Tradescantia down here, and there is I don't know if you can see it through all the leaves. There is a Tarina down there as well. So I guess overall this is a good planter. Let me just step back here again. You know, things, the planters change obviously throughout the season. So when I first planted this, the Tarina and the Tradescantias, there's another one hidden in the back here, I needed those plants to be there because the begonia was very small and the caladium were non-existent. So I needed those in the beginning just to give a little interest to this pot, and now the other plants have grown so large that those plants that we needed in the beginning have kind of faded away into the background. So I guess it's not realistic to think that every single plant in there is going to look amazing all the time. It's kind of like, it's definitely a plant journey. So we have some supportive ones in the beginning and then some supportive ones late in the season, and together they create a pot that looks good all year round. All right, let's step around here. Here is another one of these elephant ears. These are also huge and frankly unexpected, because I just kind of plopped them in wherever because the bulbs did not look good. I thought they were not good anymore. I just put them in and thought, oh, we'll see what happens, and turns out they're perfectly fine and producing tons of leaves. There's another one right back here. So let me get out of here and then we'll take a look at the other side here. All right, so this is, let's do a little pan here so you can see where we are. Of course, the banana tree, and then I have this huge yucca, which I really like. It definitely adds, it is a presence in the garden. I love these like sword-like leaves just shooting out of the ground. It is supposed to bloom, but I don't think it's going to bloom this year, but maybe next year. That's what I keep saying. But I really do like the leaves and the vertical interest that it creates. So anyway, over here, I think this area has turned out pretty good, although not all the plants have, you know, done what I had hoped they were doing. We'll start back here with the cannas. They look fantastic. Definitely adding some height. There were some blooms. There's a little one back here, and then right in front of them I do have these coleus, which I think look so good. I love this particular one right here, and also this one. All of these coleus I have grown or started from cuttings that I took in last year. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that this year because I just have so many plants to bring in. I don't know if I have room to even bring any coleus in, so we will see. I also have down in here more salvia, and I think they're doing all right. The only downfall or plant that really did not do good, surprisingly, and for some reason this looks broken, I did have marigolds in here, or I do, and they just did not perform at all this year, which is kind of surprising because how easy are marigolds to grow, right? They're probably one of the easiest. They're in a sunny location, and I believe I did everything I needed to do. I'm just not sure why they did not want to grow this year. Out front here, I have tons of, you can see them around the corner, sweet potato vines. I think they look great. I love how the two, like the red and the black one, are intermingling. I think they look really great. Chainsaw's back. Personally, I love, we'll just walk around here so you can see how crazy this purple or black sweet potato vine is. I love sweet potato vines, but they do kind of take over, as you can see here. So I don't really like putting them in planters because they just kind of dominate the planter. But I think they do great in the ground, especially if you have somewhere like this where they can kind of spill out over. So the border of my flower bed is right back here, and then I have these spilling out over into the sidewalk, which I think is a really good look. Let me stand back here on the corner. Sorry, the sun is coming out, but just so you can see all of these sweet potato vines, and I think they look fantastic. All right, I just had to pause for a minute. It is so hot out here that my camera kind of overheated, so I just had to take a little break. There is a, I'm gonna try to speed this along now. There is a clematis in here. There is a, I do have this like trellis thing in here. It's kind of buried, so it's a little hard to see, but I do have a clematis growing up that, and it has decided to produce more flowers. It bloomed in the springtime, and now it is back again in what I'm going to call early fall, maybe late summer. I also have a cypress fern right here growing up the trellis, just to add a little bit of different leaf texture. And here is the dahlia. So I left this outside all year round, 2 years in a row, kind of secretly hoping that it would maybe not survive, because I have a love-hate relationship with the dahlia here. Down in the middle, I'm gonna have to cut this back, but down in here there is a support. There is like a trellis. I do have this thing supported, and it still just flops like crazy. Oh, here we have a bloom, so you can see it is a really beautiful dahlia, and I do enjoy it when it's not flopping, but the flopping is just non-stop, and I guess way more effort than I want to make for this plant. So I will leave it outside again for a third year and see if it comes back. You'll see more of these coleus popping through here, which I love. I would definitely have more coleus next year. There are some sedums right back here that are getting ready to bloom. And then there was a spattering of brown-eyed Susans, which are right here. So they come back every year. They are perennial, and they are always a welcome sight to add a little bit of color. Moving over, I have some more caladium. Again, I love those. Definitely want to have some more next year. And then this planter, which it has plants in it and it looks okay, but I'm not in love with it. I did have some issues. Let me just step over here. So you should be able to see there's a begonia that's trailing quite nicely and a purple tradescantia that's intermingling there. That side is a huge success. I think it looks great. That is what I wanted to happen over here on this side, but unfortunately the begonia rotted with all the rain that we had, so it's kind of a little lackluster over here. And also, I'm trying to get close here without stepping on all my plants. This fern I think is beautiful, but I don't think I've been keeping up with its watering requirements because it has gotten brown a few times. So this pot has been a little tricky this year. I do have, sorry I'm not getting closer, but I do have a bromeliad, 2 different bromeliads in each corner. We can get a close up here of this one. And then of course the coffee cup colocasia. And because I was desperately trying to fill this in with a little more of something, I did put a bird of paradise back here, which will be another plant coming into my apartment this winter. So overall, right now it looks okay. There are probably too many different kinds of plants in this one pot. It's a little too complicated, but I was basically trying to fill in whenever there was a death or an issue. Moving down here, this section always looks fantastic, and this is something I will probably repeat next year. It's just a mixture of different kinds of tradescantias and impatiens, and I think it looks great. I'm very happy with the way that looks right there. I'm not going to go into detail, but there are some houseplants back here, kind of add a little bit more height and interest. While we're over here, I'm just going to do a quick little scan just so you can see the garden from different angles, although the sun is probably not being helpful right now. So talk about a transformation. This section right here I'm in love with, and when I first planted it I thought it was the worst, and I was afraid it was not going to look good at all, but turns out it is one of my favorite areas. The Persian shields are beautiful, and then I have this gorgeous papyrus plant back here, the kind of fountain tops that kind of mimic the spider plant that's down here, and then these gorgeous caladium, and of course there's an oxalis down here. There's so many different kinds of leaves and shapes, colors. I really love this area, and I'm so happy that it turned out. So just gonna come around here again for one final walkthrough. You can see, apparently I've been talking a long time because you can see this area is now in full sun. Well, not full sun, but it is coming, and based on the way these leaves look, I think I need to water a couple of these plants. But anyway, this is what my garden is looking like in late August. There are a couple winds. There are a lot of winds actually, maybe just a handful of things that didn't work out the way I had hoped to, but overall I think it's a good year. Alright guys, thank you for watching this garden tour. I am back over here at this banana tree, trying to get you into the banana tree. But yeah, thank you for watching this garden tour. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next garden video in September. So have a great day in your garden. Bye.